Hello fellow vapors, Joe with 702 Vapors again with my next installment video. We're looking at my annoying ass dog. We're looking at clearomizers. Clearomizers are pretty simple. There's a couple of things about them that are good, a couple of things about them that are not so good. Clearomizers are very, very user friendly. They're very easy. You pretty much fill them and vape them. Out of everything that I've got, they're probably the easiest method to vape, but they're not for me. I know there's a couple more coming out I would like to get my hands on fairly soon, so I can do a video on them. But what I have right now is what I've got. I'm going to show you how to fill these two clearomizers, how they work and what's bad with them, what's good with them. So we're just going to dive right in. We're going to head on down and get right into filling. So these are the two style of clearomizers I have right now. This is a plastic tube clearomizer. It's a quad wick. This is a Vivi Nova Mini. The Vivi Nova Mini is actually a really nice clearomizer. It's fairly cheap. Sorry about that. It's fairly cheap. It holds about 2.5 mils of juice versus this one, which probably holds closer to a 0.5 mil. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this one first. This one's got the rubber cap that all the cartomizers I've shown you have. Again, garbage. Throw that out. This one also has 2 rubber seals just inside the tube. The top of the tube comes out. I always throw them away. I've never kept them. Inside this cartomizer, it's going to be impossible for me to show you on the video. The last rubber seal that's around the top of it needs to be there or it'll leak. Inside that one, there will be 2 small holes, which are exactly 90 degrees away from the wick. The wick comes out of 2 portions. There's 2 holes in the opposite 2 sides. Basically, when you fill these, what I have right now is just this syringe that's small enough to actually go through it. I can't find any of my needle tips for my bottles. But anyways, that's going to go right through the small hole. We're just going to put juice into it, like so. Squirt it in there. Oh wow. It's actually going to be a little higher capacity than I thought it was. That's a whole mil into it. It's only about half full. Oh, nice. My syringe just came apart. Or my needle. It's going to be about half full with 1 mil, so we're looking at almost 2 mils of juice inside of there. These are going to be fairly low resistance. Thread it onto the trusty lava tube again. Check the ohms on it just to make sure. It's actually fairly high. This is at 2.7 ohms, which is a little bit higher than it's supposed to be. I'm going to go ahead and throw a drip tip on it and check it out. Take a vape from it. And now we're going to get immediately into the problems with clearomizers. Clearomizers for me do not work well at higher voltages. They almost always give me a burnt taste. I don't know why that is, except for they just can't wick as well. The idea behind them is great, but they just don't work as well. If I vape it like I'm vaping on a Genesis atomizer and I give it a good tip, right next to the heating coil where the wicks go into it is going to be wet. I pretty much have to vape these completely full all the time or vape at an angle. For some people these are a little bit easier because you don't need to prime these. You fill them and you vape them. That's this style cartomizer. The Vivi Nova is a little bit different. See, one bad vape, a couple of good ones. go ahead and take this one off my device, and we're going to go right back down, and I'm going to get into the Vivi Nova, which I don't need the syringe for, so it's okay that it broke. These are going to use a standard 510 drip tip, just like everything else. The Stardust style clearomizers with the threaded in drip tip, which I actually do have one of, I'll pop out in a second just to show it to you. Anyways, top cap on the tank unscrews from this. The tank section will also unscrew from the base. Now, one thing that's nice about these Vivi Novas, they're a quad wick just like the other one. However, the actual head of the unit with the wicks built onto it will unscrew, and you can buy just this head. I want to say it's between $2 to $4, depending on where you're getting them from, in different ohms. So you can get these in a little bit higher ohm rating. This one is marked at 1.8. For me, 1.8 is a little low. I like them more of a standard resistance, a little higher resistance, so I can run them at higher voltage. But just for the sake of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and use it. To fill these, it's pretty simple. It's actually a lot more simple than the other style clearomizer I just showed you. Tank screws on, you remove the top cap. You're just going to take your bottle of juice. I'm going to go ahead and fill this one with the RY4 because it's a little bit thinner. You put that bottle where the juice is basically going to go inside the tank, around the outside edge. You do not want to put juice down a center hole in this one, just like in a cartomizer. You'll flood it. Basically, just fill this guy up. You can use a syringe if you choose. I usually choose not to. No real need. The dripper on almost any bottle will work fine. I will usually fill these up right across the top, not flooding into that center section like I just did, and then make sure you screw on the top cap. Now, one of the issues to start with these, we're talking about a plastic tank, we're talking about aluminum caps. You can cross thread this very, very easily if you are not careful. I always suggest to be real careful with your stuff. If you treat it well, it'll treat you well, is always kind of been my whole little saying. Basically, we're just going to fill this up. Most people will say, you know, let it sit for a while. I'm not that good. I just like to vape it. Fill it and vape, it's my method. Once you're done building it, putting a new, wick and coil head on it, vape it. I'm just going to go ahead and meter this one real quick. That's interesting. It said it was a 1.8. It's reading 4.8, which I have a real hard time believing. There we go. Now we're down to 2.5. That might be a bad head. 2.3. Sticking at 2.3, so we'll go ahead and just keep it at 4 volts. Take a vape from it. See how it is. Just as good as any other clearomizer vapes. It's nothing substantial. It's not a Genesis atomizer. It's a clearomizer. Again, very simple to fill, very simple to use. No real priming necessary. Fill it, vape it. This is the way most of your standard Ego kits are going to come. Is with a tank similar to this, maybe a little smaller capacity, maybe not rebuildable or replaceable heads. They're usually fairly cheap. They vape well. Like I said, nothing to be impressed with. Carto tanks are pretty much the standard right now. It's the way everybody's going, next to Genesis atomizers hybrids, which is for a completely different video. But they vape. So, I hope you find these interesting. Let me grab out of my tackle box here one more style clearomizer. This is the clearomizer that does come with almost all of your standard Ego kits at this time. Couple of quick issues with it. This is the replaceable head version. I had to put a bead of hot glue around where the plastic meets the aluminum. It'll separate at that point, and when it does, it's going to leak. The base cap's still unscrewed, so you can replace the heads on them. Same exact head as the other one, basically. Unscrews, replace it with a new one. This one reads 2.8 ohm, so this one's a little bit higher resistance. Fill it much the same way, except for minus removing the whole top cap, you're only removing the drip tip. This drip tip is threaded. I cannot stand this style because it makes things less universal. For me, universal is all where it's at. I want to use the same drip tip on multiple devices or juice delivery systems. This one works. It's very noob friendly. Sorry. It's very new vapor friendly. It holds approximately 2 milliliters of juice, and it'll work. It's got a deep recessed threading for Ego style threads. It does not have the exterior threading that an Ego does. It only has the standard 510 connection, but it's very deep, so it will not work on some devices. This will work on the iTaste MVP. Will not work on the LavaTube V2 without an adapter. But yeah, so I mean, basically that's a quick rundown on clearomizers. So now we've covered atomizers, clearomizers, cartomizers, and we're about to get into Genesis atomizers, which are not a new vapor friendly at all device. Those are going to be an advanced user item. Anyone that sells them puts on there a big disclaimer that says this is for advanced users only that are comfortable building, wrapping coils, doing small tedious work, adjusting coils, etc. Clearomizers may be the way to go for you. For me, not really. I have a few of them because I've gotten them from fairly good deals, just to have around. Backups, backups, backups. Always have a backup. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. Do not run high VG juices in clearomizers. They will not wick very well. But I think that's pretty much where we're at. If you have any questions, please post. Ask them. I will make more videos about things that you ask if I need to, if it's not something that can be easily described in text. But yeah, we'll go from there. So, happy vaping.